Happy Magic Round, everyone. And with the Magic Weekend of football coming up, I thought I'd give a shout out to some magical players. Did I mention magic? Before I get into it, don't forget to stick around for Aaron's tips. He's got a few surprises in store. Me though, I just want to do a rapid fire shout out to some players who we love dearly and who never let their teams down. I'm of course talking about Isaah, Yeo and Twal.
You're a wizard.
Twal and Yeo.
A couple of hard-working forwards and the best huggers in the game. And now it makes perfect sense why Aaron calls Twal the Lebanese love god. Once he gets hold of you, there's no mercy, no quarter, you are his to do as he will. Now, both players are in the top 25 for tackles made, which is pretty good. But more remarkable is the fact that they are the top two players for tackle efficiency within that 25. Yeo has 97.5% from 346 tackles, and Twal has a ridiculous 99% tackle efficiency from 288 tackles, having only missed 3 tackles through 9 rounds. So, better start calling them Gandalf because you shall not pass. The part of the field that they defend, when the commentary is hyping up the halves and fullbacks for their magical attack, don't forget to keep an eye on the other side of the game as well, and, as they say, defense wins premierships, so a team of 17 Yeos and Twals would rival the 11-in-a-row Dragons team. Good luck to everyone this week, and here's Aaron with your Magic Round tips.
Hello everyone, Aaron from the Cat Bros here, and it is time for my Round 10, aka Magic Round tips. This round is going to be interesting, and I think a lot of fun. As I mentioned, or as Ryan and I both mentioned on the podcast on Monday, so many of the games are between teams that are close to each other on the ladder, and that's going to add to the theatre, it's going to add to the drama, and it's going to cause a little bit of separation between some of the teams, I think, and we're really going to get to learn about a lot more about the teams that are close on the ladder, which teams are better than the others, teams with the same win-loss records as each other. So this round is going to be a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to watching as much of it as I can. Bring it on, I say. So we start with the Bulldogs and the Knights. Trying to remember the Bulldogs and the Knights. Bulldogs are the home team. Home teams probably don't matter all that much in Magic Round, as we have discovered in the past. So the Bulldogs against the Knights. This one, 15 v 16, is going to be very, very tough to tip. I'm leaning towards the Knights at the moment. I think the Knights have shown a little bit more in attack than the Dogs have. The Dogs have been good in patches in attack throughout the year. Obviously, we saw they put some points on the Roosters, but then they had a very poor showing against the Raiders last week, where they scored just 1 try, I believe it was. The Knights, on the other hand, they started off well and have gone absolutely awful since then, but I think they've shown me a little bit more and have been a little bit more tippable, I guess, is probably the right word. So I'm going to lean towards the Knights by a very slim margin. I think it'll be close. It'll be a grind to start the round, and we will kind of see what the differences are between these two teams, which one is more likely to end up with the spoon, and later on we'll get to the other games where the other potential spoon teams might join them. Next up, we have the Eagles and the Broncos. This is a Magic Round tradition, and has been a tradition where the Eagles host the Broncos at Suncorp for quite a few years now, I think. They've just made it a staple of the Magic Round since that started. I'm going to go with the Eagles here. The Eagles have Tom Trbojevic, DCE. The Broncos have had a few good players step up here and there. Eagles are 7th, Broncos are 8th. This one is going to be a very fun game too, I reckon. But yeah, I'm leaning towards the Eagles. I think this one will be reasonably close as well. The Broncos have been good this year, no doubt about it. But the Eagles are a quality team. They were obviously 4th last year, got eliminated in the prelims. And with Tom back, I think they'll start finding their groove again a little bit more. They were a little bit rusty in defence against the Tigers, but I think they'll sharpen that up this week. So I'll go with them. The Warriors and the Rabbits are up next, first game on Saturday. Warriors 10th, Rabbits 9th. This one, as good, well, not really good, as decent as the Warriors have been this year, given their last few rounds, I can't say they are anything other than untippable. That murdering they copped by the Storm, losing to a 12-man team, 11-man team for 10 minutes, team in the Sharks last week, is honestly unforgivable. You've got those opportunities and you've got to capitalise on them, and the Warriors just failed to do that dismally. So I am going to go out now and just say that the Warriors will not be tipped by me until after they win their next game. So I'm going to be going with the Rabbits. The only reason that I may tip the Warriors, even if they don't win any games, might be if they play in New Zealand. Obviously, they play the Tigers for their first game in New Zealand. I may have to tip them for that. Who knows? But in the meantime, no more tips for the Warriors until after they can show me that they can win a game, because they have been pretty poor in recent times. So Rabbits for me, probably around the 2 converted try mark. Titans and Dragons are up next, 14 v 11. Not next to each other on the ladder, but still relatively close. This one is tough to tip as well. The Titans have been okay in patches. They had 2 wins that were anything but convincing, but they've shown a little bit in some of the games they've lost. The Dragons have been a bit of a surprise packet with their 3 straight wins over the Knights, Roosters and Tigers before being brought back down to earth by the Storm, as most teams will be throughout this season. They had an off day in defence and they had a poor day in attack, but the Storm are a juggernaut and you can't take too much away from that sort of performance. I'm going to tip the Dragons to bounce back. They've shown more than the Knights. They've shown more than the Titans have so far this year, and I think I'm going to give them the upper hand here, around 8 to 10 points. I've got to try and factor in the rain that's expected over the weekend, so I think a lot of games are going to end up being a lot closer than the potential blowout scores that we could see and have seen in the past. So, Dragons by 8 to 10. Game of the season so far is up next. Probably won't be topped as the game of the season, potentially until the Panthers and Storm rematch in Penrith. But Storm v Panthers up at Suncorp. This game is going to be an absolute belter. The Storm are going to be without Pappenhausen, which is a huge, huge loss for them. The Panthers are going to be stinging after being beaten by their crosstown rivals, the Eels. This game is going to be fun, and I'm going to be watching this game with a lot of anticipation about how it's going to unfold. Surprises me that the Storm are outsiders on the betting perspective, considering their recent form. The Panthers obviously coming off that loss. So this one, I don't feel like I'm tipping an upset, but technically I am. I'm going with the Storm. I think it'll be very, very close, 2 to 4 points at most, I feel. The Storm have been devastating in attack recently, but the Panthers are a very good defensive unit. They haven't been as good this year as they were last year, but I think that loss last week will sharpen them up. They will come out of the blocks firing. They may take a lead into halftime, but I think the Storm may have enough to come back to beat them in the second half. So that's what I'm leaning towards for that one. Moving on to the Sunday triple header now. We start with the Sharks and the Raiders. And based on ladder positions, this is one of the 2 mismatches. You've got 4th versus 12th. I think it's pretty safe to say the Sharks are going to win this one. The Raiders beat them in round 1, but it took a last-minute try after the Sharks kicked a field goal for the Raiders to win by 5 points. So Sharks for me, I think they'll win this one a bit more comfortably, probably around the 12 to 14 point mark. Obviously, like I said, margins this week are going to be a lot closer than the potential 20s, 30s, especially going into Sunday if the surface is as chopped up as I'm expecting it to be. Games later in the week could be a little bit more risky, and I hope that all 6 of the teams playing on Sunday come out of the round injury-free, because it could be very risky in those later stages when so many teams and so many games have already been played on a wet surface. So Sharks for me, I think they'll win reasonably comfortably given the circumstances, and that's what I'm leaning towards there. The Raiders, for me, at the moment, are one of those teams that could potentially finish with the spoon. Obviously, they're a win ahead of those bottom 4 teams in the Tigers, Titans, Knights, and Bulldogs. So they've got a little bit of an upper hand there. Obviously, one of those teams, at least, either the Knights or the Bulldogs, will remain on 2 wins. So regardless of the other results, they'll have at least one team below them still. But if they don't get their act together, I have a feeling they will be down there in that bottom 4 by the end of the season. I feel bad for them, considering I tipped them to finish 8th. I may have to take that one back, just like I've had to take back my Cowboys for the spoon prediction. They've been far too good so far this year, and they will either finish in the 8th or just barely miss out, is what I'm leaning towards now. Okay, so then we have the Roosters and the Eels. This one is going to be interesting as well. 6th versus 5th. The Eels are favourites. Roosters are slight underdogs. I'm leaning towards the Roosters here. I know the Eels are coming off that win over the Panthers. The Roosters may finally have a bit more confidence after putting a score on the Titans. So I think the Roosters will get the job done. Eels have been a little too inconsistent for my liking, with losses to the Tigers and the Cowboys in there. A very surprising loss to the Cowboys. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, Roosters, I think, will win this one by 4 to 6 points. It's going to be close. It's going to be a grind. And it's going to be an absolute rip-snorter of a game. Then we have the final game of the round, the Tigers and the Cowboys. And based on ladder positions, this is the other mismatch, as we have 13th versus 3rd. This one I am very much looking forward to. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm terrified that the surface is going to be absolutely mutilated by this one, so these 2 teams will risk injuries in this game. But given the quality of the contest, I think it's going to be a great game. The Tigers, obviously undefeated in Magic Rounds so far, with wins over the Panthers and the Knights. Quite comfortable wins too, I might add. So the Tigers seem to always manage to put it on in Magic Round. The Knights, on the other hand, the Cowboys, on the other hand, are in very, very good form and will be tough to beat. I am going to tip with my heart here and go with the Tigers. I think we have enough to pull off the upset here. I like what I saw from them in attack in in round 9. They were still a little bit clunky, I will admit that, but we did manage to score more points. We had a few tries taken off us. Discussions about those in the podcast on Monday night, if you are interested in taking a listen to that. So I'm going to go with the Tigers by probably 4 to 6 points as well. I'm going to be cheering loud and proud for this one. I seem to enjoy cheering loud and proud for Magic Round. It's been good times so far, and I'm looking forward to hopefully some more good times. We've got Liam, who's a Cowboys fan, in the Cat Bros Discord server. So good luck, Liam. May the best team win. I am looking forward to what is hopefully going to be a cracking game to finish off Magic Round, with the Tigers hopefully improving their defence and scoring a few more points than your Cowboys. Anyway, good luck to everyone and their teams for this weekend. Have fun watching the footy. If you're going to the footy, enjoy, stay dry, stay safe, and bring on Magic Round.